Hi, in this video I want to discuss a topic of um, assuring people of how simple something may be when it may not be as easy as it may seem. Obviously, we all have different perspectives and we all look at things from a different perspective and we all find things a little easier or harder that would be a little easier or harder for someone else. It depends on the situation, the circumstance, and lots of other factors that may be obstructions or maybe, ways of aiding you when you need um, be useful more than obstructions and the situations. So it depends on a lot of situations that we rely on certain things and what we define as something that could be done easily or as more difficult. And the problem with making these descriptions is that there's usually a process when it comes to it. You can say it's easy, but generally speaking, obviously the saying it's easy, implying that it's something that can be done quickly and without much difficulties, can in many ways be misleading because there's always a process when it comes to the there's always a process when it comes to accomplishing something or getting through something or enduring something or going through some kind of hardship or going through some kind of adversity. Sometimes um, it takes a little it takes a little adversity, and it's not as easy sometimes as as done. Um, it's easier said than done, and that's what I was trying to say. It's easier said than done in many cases, and sometimes it takes a little more effort for someone else than it may be for you, and sometimes it can be just the same for you, or any for any number of reasons, like I mentioned before. There's always a process. You say, well, say someone's saying, get over it. Get over a hang up you have, or get over some kind of issue you may have, or some kind of ailment you may be living with. Sometimes it's an ailment you can't do anything but get over, and it takes time. It takes time. You lost a limb, and you have to live with it. You have a disease that you're gonna be stuck with for the rest of your life. It's gonna take time. You're either gonna deal with it or you're not gonna deal with it. It's gonna be one of those things where if you deal with it, you end up getting through it. You end up living with it. And that doesn't mean you're gonna be living comfortably, but you end up living with it because you're still living until you end up dying, or you end up dying, or saying I can't deal with it or whatever it may be. It's about enduring. And I guess it can be about something like sacrificing your comfort, your lack of comfort for, say, existing for the comfort of someone else, for whatever reason you may be finding, whatever rationalization, whatever justification you may have. There's any number of reasons why that can be the case. So, yeah, it really just depends on the circumstance. So, yeah. Anyway, obviously, speaking for other people, get over something. And I said there are circumstances where it can be easier for you than it is for someone else. And it may have been easy for you and the process may have been shorter, but there's always a process. There's no just happening. There is in circumstances, but it's because of a process that may have been subconscious or may have been because of something other, process that was quick. But sometimes a process can be conscious or unconscious and take a very long time to get over it. But there's always some kind of process, a process of getting used to something or a process of having the realization of something before you get used to something or building character to get something, going through adversity, whatever it may be. There's always something that you have to go through, whatever it may be, however long the process may be, whatever you may be going through. There's always a process that you're going to have to end up going through, either short or long. There's always going to be something you're going to have to endure one way or another. So it's a process you're going to have to deal with because it's part of the very fabric of our existence. Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, like I mentioned before, I was using examples of things that you can't get used to, or you're going to have to force to get used to, because it's either you get used to it or you don't get used to it. You're living with it, and just because you're living with it doesn't mean you're used to it, um, um, or whatever it may be. But you're living through it, and every day, and every waking moment that you're going and living beyond it doesn't mean you're getting more comfortable, but at least you're giving it more of a chance, leaving the hope out for tomorrow that there may be another chance. It's always that excuse that a person that's maybe depressed has. Well, why don't you just kill yourself? Because there's always a hope for tomorrow that things will change, even though in many cases your depression may be something that is based on the very fabric of our existence, such as you're depressed that the parasite game that we're playing, that where we're constantly relying on someone. I take it means you can't have it, and when you realize these things, it's about getting used to the truth, and sometimes it can't be changed by the truth. It has to be changed. Can't be changed because it is the truth. It has to be changed because it's something you get used to as an idea, and it's something that you're willing to, say, sacrifice, get used to by building character and sacrifice those based on principle and character building that you're willing to give up and understand and endure and recognize more and be willing to make that sacrifice that maybe was so necessary to be made. So there is character building in that sense, but it goes back to the being useful, useless, just to save more useful, useless people later on, so they could be the sacrifice, the sacrificial lamb that you were. You're saving them long enough to have a chance to be the sacrificial lamb, so that the next person can do it, and prolonging the same game over and over again for no good reason. And it's for no good reason, obviously, like I just mentioned, because it's just sacrificing for the sake of sacrifice, sort of like procreating for the sake of procreating. If you keep on perpetuating the cycle, it's just going to be for the sake of perpetuating the same cycle for no good reason. And that's what we're doing by procreating and sacrificing, because we're creating more sacrificial sacrifices, more sacrificial lamb. The more we have, um, the more we reproduce and perpetuate the maze game, the game, the life game that we're playing, the life competition that we're playing more than anything. So yeah, it's hard to avoid. Um, but it's part of the mechanism. But just because you say it's part of the mechanism doesn't mean it's not something you should change or try to change. And if you can't change it, try to find a way to eliminate it. And that doesn't mean it has to be painful elimination, I guess, contriving some kind of way to continue the topic, but it has to be changed. It doesn't mean we have to live with it. Oh, that's just the way life is. Well, that's no justification for it happening. That's the way life is. Well, guess what? Try to change it. And if you can't change it, try to eliminate the problem at its core. And the problem at its core is consciousness, living, being aware, being able to feel negative sensation or whatever it may be. It's something you need to change. And if you can't change it, you got to take care of it. You got to take care of business. You got to eliminate it. And that seems to be the only option in many circumstances. But yeah, and that is a change, is eliminating it. So yeah, it's part of the process. So, but yeah, real quick back to the process thing. Yes, there is a process to every single thing that we have to overcome. Every moment, every fact that there's movement in time and space, and time is just a process of movement and space, moving around in space. Um, it shows that there's a process and there's a movement, one leading one from one thing to another, and that's all we're doing is moving around, reacting using our jerk reactions. Obviously, obviously our psychology is just a bunch of jerk reactions, reacting um, to every situation. And obviously, there's some things that, say someone's saying get over depression or whatever it may be, like I mentioned before. It's a process. Sometimes you say you can't, but it's a process. And even though you may be out of the process, sometimes you don't even realize you're maybe in the process or maybe already out of the process, and you're just sort of reinforcing what you're so comfortable reinforcing. And that's because it's almost like you're in denial. You don't want to accept it. But you are not willing to accept that this or that or whatever it may be. Acceptance in many ways, or denial. Acceptance is a good example to describe the circumstance of a process of going through something or whatever it may be. Um, let's see, what else? Let's see, well, yeah, like depression. Yeah, depression can be a process of, recognizing exactly what you're depressed about or why you may be wanting to be depressed or whatever it may be, or you want to seem depressed, whatever problem may be, underlying problem may be there, there's always seems to be something that you need to go through a process of, because obviously life is living a game where it's constantly fixing problems, and every problem is a process of fixing the issue and only leading to another issue that you need to fix. And it may not always be readily obvious, but it's always there. The process is always right there, waiting to confront you at the end of every open door, closed door that you decide to open, or whatever it may be. So it's always something that's gonna rear its ugly head right in your face. So it's gonna be there no matter what you do, every turn you take, every around every corner. So it's gonna be something. There's gonna be a process. It doesn't matter what perception you have of quick and easy. Um, whatever you say, whatever you think, whatever your experience was, doesn't mean it's gonna be the same. There's always a process. You may understand why. Why isn't this person getting it? Why can't they just get over it? I understand. I can get over it. That doesn't mean it's going to be the same for them, but sometimes it could be the same. It's just taking a longer time for the person to recognize it or go through it, and then some other physical ailment or psychological or realization or whatever it may be. There's always something that you need to figure out. There's always a process, short or long, quick, fast, whatever it may be, big, small, whatever word you want to use to describe the severity of whatever issue you may be experiencing. It's always going to be there, so it's going to be it's going to be there one way or another, and it's going to be right there again once you open the closed door of light. You see the light, and the light is just the reflection off of the door seal. You walk right through and it's a dark tunnel again, and you see the light at the end. You see the creases in the door, and it's like, well, I guess I got to chase the light again. Maybe you should just turn around and walk through the other way and say, I think it's game over. Exit through back only. Exit only. Choose the exit only instead of entering more than anything. So choose to exit through where you just came in than to enter another exit door where it's going to give you another opportunity to realize and think, maybe I should just turn around again. Turn around, turn around. It presents its opportunity and chance every time you walk through a door. So maybe I should go exit through the back door instead of, going through the front door. Exit through the front door. To only look back and say there's another back door for me to exit out of and another front door for me to exit out of, but it's a longer way. Why don't I just turn around a little, less effort, less suffering, less endurance, less adversity, hardship, whatever it may be. The same words describing the same thing. Just go through a less of a process and yeah, fix the issue immediately by not going through the issue again. That seems reasonable. Anyway, so say it's quick, it's easy, just do it when there is always a process. Get over depression, whatever, get over this. Yeah, there's always a process, and it could happen. It could be for the same reason. It's just a little longer. Maybe more of a reason. It doesn't really matter. There's always a process. There's always something there to get over. There's always a hill to climb. So I guess it's just another way of looking at life's a problem. It's always about fixing problems. So it's just that same idea. So yeah. Yeah, that's it pretty much. I'm gonna keep looking over and stuff. Anyway, yeah. That's all I want to discuss in this video. So I guess thank you, and until next time. Bye.